Fire Department. Okay.
Okay. Well, Mayor, Council, this is a tag team approach between the fire marshal, actually a very interesting office of the fire marshal and myself, and we're going to let Chief Smith start off first. He's got some information that he would like to share with you.
I'll give you an overview of some of the activities that have been going on in the fire marshal's office over the course of the year. I want to lead off with just kind of a review by the numbers. This is a 5-year average of activities, of some sort of activities in the office of the year. Averaging 1,922 inspections, correctly 1,912 violations, reviewed an average of 274 sets of plans, issued an average of 18 formal notice of violations. Think of those as warning tickets, like a better way to put it. Issued an average of 11 citations, conducted an average of 28 formal fire investigations, and those are ones where we are actually engaging in the investigation, not just assisting the fire crew in making an on-scene determination. We filed an average of 3 criminal cases per year, have worked with an average of 3 juvenile fire subjects or juvenile fire center intervention per year, and have averaged 103 public education programs per year. Throwing the numbers out, just kind of get you in mindset. This is only text slide. You're going to see the numbers on it in small form. A few things that are going on in our area is we have taken more responsibility for the CERT program. That has pretty well been a part of the police department the last few years. We've been involved one more in the training component of that, and that has moved forward now where we are largely taking it under the fire department's umbrella, but more specifically under the fire marshal's office umbrella to expand the training component of it, as well as trying to get more active involvement from the existing CERT team members, looking at trying to do drills and activities with them on a more routine basis, much like we do with the Citizens Fire Academy Alumni Association, with the end goal towards incorporating those CERT team members that are interested in doing so more into an emergency response capability for disaster relief in the city. They're not going to be running around on emergency scenes per se, but they, much like the CFA alumni, do have a very active role in supporting the emergency operations in the city in various sundry methods. Citizens Fire Academy, Class 20, started last week. We have 17 people enrolled in the class, which for those of y'all that have been through the class, that is a large class. We're very happy with the numbers, and we will probably be looking at another class around the first of the year, just because of the number and the size of the waiting list that has occurred in this class. The one visible change that y'all will notice out and about is that after 4 years of more than 1,500 installs, the hydrants out and about the city do all have the hydrant sports adapters on them now. That is making things a lot safer, a lot faster, and a lot easier for the fire crews, the suppression crews, when they are having to hook up the hydrants. You will still notice a few here and there that got missed for one reason or another. We are, as the fire operations crews are going through doing their annual hydrant maintenance, they're identifying those, and then we're going back and getting those few little gaps filled in. We've got maybe 6 or 8 that we've identified citywide, so it's not very many, but there's a few out there. And still need that. Gas wells, we are not the primary gas well inspectors for the city by any means, form, or fashion, but we are on these gas well pad sites generally at least once a year. They all have hazardous materials permits that have to be reviewed annually, and as part of that renewal process, we do access the sites, do some basic safety checks on things that we feel comfortable checking. Just some of the things that we've stumbled onto, per se, through some ideas. The top right picture is some unpainted pipes. Bottom left was an unsecured vent that should have been dogged down to, it would have worked, but it just wasn't like it should have been. Bottom right-hand corner, you've got some unpainted pipes that were in a water-filled area. Nothing earth-shattering, but just little things that we kind of watch for as we're going through these sites. And here's kind of an aerial overview of the men's pad site, just going down on the pipeline. As you can see, the tank batteries at the bottom left, as you see it there, the wells themselves are little dots you see in the middle of the pad site. And when we do the inspection, basically we're looking for things like making sure the lightning protection is intact, that the emergency shutdown components are intact, that the signage is there, that the emergency gates, emergency access gates are still there, the site when it's aiming to, Like it's not an inspection to the depth that the city contract inspector does, but it does give us an extra set of eyes on the pad sites at least once a year, just to kind of see if there's anything that we're concerned about from a safety standpoint, and to try to get those addressed during the inspections. Speaking of which, we do inspections. It's a big part of what we do, and got just some photos here to kind of give you an idea of some of the things that we stumbled across. Top left photograph, someone had added some dryer vents and decided that it was too expensive to punch them through the roof, so they were exhausting all their lint into the attic, which over time can be a problem. The lower left picture is not even a fire code issue per se, but we were doing an inspection and found part of the ceiling caving in a classroom. And once again, that was something that was flagged on the inspection. We dealt with it through the inspection process and got it resolved. Top the right-hand side is just burning, checking sprinkler systems in a particular building, which is a big part of what we do. Just a few other examples here. The top left, this is something I've never encountered before in my 30 years of doing this. That is a 2-hour fire door that someone took apart for one reason or another and decided to put back together using duct tape. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. I haven't found 2-hour rated duct tape yet, but the door has been repaired. Top right picture, you've got a fire damper and a 2-hour firewall. And if you look to the right, there's 2 more holes there. Someone decided to leave some additional holes in the wall and just knock them out. And we found that in an inspection. The bottom right is a 2-hour fire damper, a very expensive piece of equipment, I might add, that the electrician decided was a really good spot to run his conduit through, kind of negates the whole purpose of having it there. And then, of course, the outside item, just fire hydrant, someone had removed the cap on. We've run into those quite a bit as well. A few more examples here. Top left is a dryer vent that has been disconnected. You've got an area getting a lot of lint out in it. Top right is a fryer that was added in an existing restaurant, which they can do. The problem is they put it in and did not modify the fire protection system to cover it, so had there been a fire, it would have gotten out from under the hood and compromised the restaurant. Bottom right, open electrical panel, and bottom left, that little dot just to the left of the vent is a smoke detector. They have to be between 4 and 12 inches of the ceiling, and I think that one's just a little bit low. Actually, we what we needed it to do. One thing that we've gotten off onto pretty heavy in the last year is the Department smoke detector inspection program. As of the end of last month, we have checked detectors in 836 units, totaling a total of 2,359 detectors that we have touched this year. We found 171 of those in violation, which means in the multifamily apartments, we're having about a 93% pass rate on the smoke detectors, which is really great unless you're in the 7% that fails. So we are seeing some benefit to this program, and plan to continue working through it. We're looking not only for detectors that are not working, we're also looking for ones that are missing and ones that are not spaced properly, where they're not going to work like they should. In doing our inspection of apartments, where ours complement the ones that Gary does. But these are some of the other things that we pick up on. You see electrical violations in a sundry of manner. Bottom right photograph there is a landing that was separated from the steps. Bottom left is a support for an overhead balcony that is coming loose. Just different odds and ends. The 13 in the middle is a building number that's in a fire lane that's just becoming difficult to read. It's easier to repaint it. What we're finding from our end anyway is that the 2 programs, what we do and what the Code Services Department is doing, are really complementing each other. We're trying to incorporate more and more into doing some of the inspections together, and we're seeing a lot of benefits from that. For those of y'all that do not know, we have a Facebook presence now. Kicked off in July. We currently have 2,128 people that are liking our page. This is kind of a marketing routine, I guess you would say. When we put something out, I say we can put something out on our Facebook page, through the 2,128 likes, it reaches 116,965 people. So we're getting a pretty big bang for the buck. In July, we had 6,029 talking about this hits, and I had to ask Kim what that was because I had absolutely no idea. So basically, that's the number of people in the month of July that engaged our page. They either left a comment on something that we had put on, or in other way, otherwise reacted. He said, look at it from the standpoint of if you've got a business and you sent a coupon out in the mailer, that's the number of people that responded to your coupon. So kind of put it in context that even somebody like I could kind of understand. But we're having really good results with this. We hope it continues to build and grow. And we're exploring different options that we can use to get information out on the Facebook. Public education, that is fixing to hit off really hard during the next few months with open house, National Night Out, the Trunk Fest, the clown programs, and pub ed at the schools. Yes, you're going to see clowns running around all over the place the next few months. It's normal. They just, sometimes they're worried they're face pieces, sometimes they're not. But it's all good. It's all fun. A lot of activity going on out there. As I noted earlier, we had 108 activities last year in public education, and hopefully this year we'll be able to top that number and just continue building that program. With that, Chicago Fire Marshal, that's a Ken exclusive there, but it's a good transition to Chief Rose's component.
Okay, to take it a little bit further, I want to give you, and I know this, I always have trouble getting this slide to be presentable, but in a nutshell, what this is telling you is that we have through this year, through January to July this year, we are maintaining a 5-minute, 32-second response time overall from the moment that dispatch picks up the phone and states what's your emergency. We've been working very hard on our turnout time out of the station. We have reduced that quite a bit over the last couple of years and are maintaining a pretty decent response time overall. Even with the increase in traffic, when you go back and look back the last 2 or 3 years, we've only slid up just a few seconds overall. So a lot of that has to do with the processing time that dispatch has. They work very hard to keep that under a minute, and we try our due diligence on getting out of the station in under a minute as well. Just to give you just a quick picture here of 2012 calls for service, you can see that uniformly throughout the city the calls are fairly spread out. And it's a little hard to see here, but you can see some other dots outside. That is where we go, mutual aid or automatic aid to Hurst, Bedford, Fort Worth, DFW Airport, Grapevine. We jumped up quite a bit in District 2, which is the blue shaded district, over the compared to 2011. In 2011, for example, District 2 only ran 930 calls, and you can see it jumped up to about 1,600 in 2012. We're on the same pace this year. A lot of that has to do with adjusting the district, and that includes the jail. And this year already, we've run over 165 calls to the jail already this year. So that's the jail generates a lot of business for us. Activity comparison from last year to this year, we ran 4,333 last year. We're projected to be around 4,300 again this year. Last year, I talked to you about a dollar loss. It doesn't take too many fires to have a significant dollar loss. Last year was a pretty low year. This year, we've already exceeded that quite a bit at 831,000. You can see our response times overall are staying fairly close. We've reduced our turnout time just a little bit. Our mutual aid has jumped up with 83 already this year. A lot of that has to do with our automatic aid with our neighbors. But I want you to remember, we are getting an equal amount of that given back to us. So it's very reciprocal. Average firefighter training, you can see that it's dropped from 300 to 288, but overall that's just an hour difference a month. So we're still exceeding the 20 hours a month that we try to go for. 25 hours per month and 12 and 24 so far in firefighter training per month this year. Chief Morris has bumped up our EMS training quite a bit, so that's something that is always equally as important. Squad 55 will go into service most likely the first or second week of September. Chief Morris, y'all picked it up from the shop today for striping, and it's getting some other components added to it as we speak. Upcoming events, we've got some more training coming up at Grapevine for all of the NEFTA Fire Department starting in September. As Chief Smith said, our open house is October the 5th, 10 to 2 p.m. Fire Prevention Week is the week of the 6th through the 11th. The Fire Academy Alumni State Dinner is on the 26th from 4 to 8 p.m. And that is pretty much what's been going on in the fire department.
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Just your fire academy with the kids, with the teenagers, how'd that turn out?
It was very successful, and actually this picture right here is,
That's what I probably
I
asked
didn't,
much.
yeah, I didn't put any pictures in there because other than this one, because it doesn't show the faces or anything, we have to be real careful with that. But it was very successful. We plan on doing it again next year, and I could go on and on. We asked for feedback from the parents on that, and all of the feedback that we got was extremely positive. It was a fun camp, but we took a very strong educational approach as well.
All those little kids were all certified in CPR, which that alone is amazing to me.
Any other questions?
Ma'am.